Today we are finally in a position to go to Java. It's been under lockdown for the last 6 months, almost 5 months, but now it is open to travel again for private people. So I'm taking my first trip out of Bali since January. Now we have July 13. And I promised you to take you on this trip. So here we go. I'm just having a coffee and getting ready to jump on my bike. As you see, I'm wearing full safety gear because this is a different type of riding than just leisurely touring the island. This is where all the heavy traffic goes, all the buses, all the people, everything on the same road. It can get quite congested, very, very busy, and it requires nothing less than laser focus to actually make it to the other side of your journey. So I hope you will enjoy the ride. I'll get back to you when we're on the bike and leaving Denpasar out on the main road to Java. See you later. So I'm about to get on my bike and I just wanted to show you you see those big extra lights that I have put on it, and it's now 7:30 in the morning, and yet before I go out on the main road I will switch on these lights and they will stay on all the time. The reason for that will become more clear as we enter the main road out of the city. It simply is to try to show oncoming drivers that we are not a scooter. And why that matters, I will explain to you a little bit later. So, we have just left the city and we are now in like the suburbs of Denpasar, very densely populated area still, and you can see traffic here is totally different than on the rest of the island. One of the reasons, apart from all the goods being transported on this road, a lot of people are commuting in and out of the city for work. They're living outside the city, but coming in the morning, leaving in the afternoons, and they're mixing with all the heavy traffic, especially trucks and buses, that keep coming basically 24 hours a day. And well, Java is one of the main suppliers of many basic goods in Bali, but Bali is also a transition route to other islands, because if you want to go to Lombok or to Flores, the islands east of Bali, you have to cross Bali first, then get on another ferry, and then deliver your goods wherever the destination may be. So not all of these trucks are transporting goods only for use in Bali. Some of them keep going further. And that is the reason why traffic is so dense in this area. So you will see I am ignoring this yellow line simply because I have to, and everybody else does as well. In all honesty, in Indonesia, the road markings are basically a waste of paint. Nobody pays any attention to them. And now we finally hit a little bit of open road. Not quite as busy. It's only a matter of minutes until we catch up with traffic again. Unfortunately, we do not have any highways on this island anyway. In Java, they're building highways to connect the island from east to west. However, they are off limits for motorbikes, no matter what size of engine you drive. Motorbikes, two-wheelers in general, not allowed on the highways. So we are confined to this type of roads wherever we're going. Now if you drive this road with a car and you get stuck behind a slow mover, it is almost impossible to overtake. It takes ages until you find a gap big enough to overtake one car or a truck, and then you ride or drive 3 to 5 minutes and then you're stuck behind the next one. So my ride to the ferry on the bike usually takes me around 2 hours. In the car you can double that. It takes 4 hours, and the distance is no more than 140 kilometers. So you can make your calculations about the average speed of traveling in a cage. It's very, very slow. Apart from loving to ride, saving a lot of time is a second compelling reason to sit on a bike. Okay, so the one most dangerous thing that we need to watch out for on this road is the oncoming traffic that sits in faster cars than the truck or the bus that you see coming your way. As explained before, it is very difficult to overtake. So when a faster car behind one of these sees that there is only motorbikes coming their way, they will still swerve out to overtake, because they think that they can leave enough space for the motorbike, or they simply force the motorbike into the rice field while they finish their maneuver of overtaking, and then they expect us to continue riding. Now that's a very ruthless way of driving. On the other hand, it's totally understandable that people do this, because otherwise they could never overtake, because there is motorbikes coming every second. So it's basically a silent arrangement between cars, trucks, buses and motorbikes that these things can happen. The other reason is that when they see a single light approaching, they automatically assume that you are a scooter. And scooters typically travel at around 40 to 50 kilometers an hour on this road. While if you ride a slightly bigger bike, you can get to higher speeds, and the drivers that are coming your way are not expecting that. So by having those extra lights and showing them, hey, listen, I am not a scooter, you try to get some of their attention, and they're understanding that, oh, maybe this is something else, maybe this guy is a little faster, maybe we give him some space. It works sometimes, but not always. So it's going to be a matter of luck whether I can show you one of these maneuvers from oncoming traffic. We will just keep the camera rolling until something like that happens. Now here's a good example. You see this guy? He wanted to overtake these cars, and he doesn't really care what's coming, because he needs to get past them. And this happens all the time, the entire way. So you really can't let down your guard. If you do, you might put yourself in a lot of danger. And then you have stretches of this open road with almost no traffic. That's when riding is a real pleasure again. but well advised to stay focused. To be honest, at the end of a ride like this, I feel physically, yes, a little bit tired, but mentally I'm completely drained. It's almost hard to talk when you take off your helmet because it's like, because you're constantly just focusing on what's happening in front of you. And after 5, 6, 7 hours, that becomes tiring, as simple as that. Now we're definitely out of Denpasar and also out of the suburbs, the directly connected suburbs. And in a couple of minutes from now we will stop at one of my favorite restos for breakfast. That is an amazing place for a highway stop, if you can call this a highway. I shall see you back there. So, and then remember when I told you about the main roads always being completely built in? You see there is houses left, right, more or less everywhere. So there's people living here, running businesses, kids going to school, and they also have to enter and exit of this road all the time because this is the main way of travel. So yeah, that makes it quite challenging. However, this is the fun about riding. When it gets more exciting, you just enjoy it more. At least that's how it works for me. My wife is somewhat the opposite. She gets so stressed out, she completely refuses to ride with me and rather spends the extra time in the car. I guess it's a personal choice. Now these are the guys that are hopelessly overloaded. 30, 40-year-old trucks, some of them, not all. And on this relatively small winding road, they can really not go very fast, as you can see. So if you don't have the chance to overtake them in a reasonably quick time, you get stuck behind them for hours. And there can be a whole snake of them. You see, there's like sometimes 15, 20, 30 trucks. Okay, we almost did it. All right, here we go. And that's what the cars also do. The quicker cars will come out and overtake these guys no matter what. And they don't really care if you were sitting on a bike coming their way. If you're a car or a bus, then they will try to squeeze back into the line. If you're a motorbike, they will just keep coming at you. So you need to be prepared for that. I'm always scared when I have people coming to visit from Europe who are probably maybe even better drivers or riders than I am. And they want to go touring and they want to go to Java and they want to do everything. And I keep telling them, I say, look, no matter how well you ride motorbike, it's not about your skills. It's about understanding how the traffic flow works here so that you can ride safely. And after the first 20-30 kilometers, they usually understand and respect the way things are going here. If you have nobody preparing you for this and you just jump on a bike and you think you can go the same way like you do at home, you may get in a lot of trouble. So this is a very beautiful area. This is called Jimbrana. You can see on my left is the ocean. We're very near the coast now. This is an agricultural place, also very popular for surfing. And here is the resto I've been talking to you about. We're going to stop here. I like to have my morning coffee. And oi, they're closed. No, my God. They are closed because of Corona. Oh no. You see, you can normally sit there and watch the waves crashing against the beach, have your coffee, and forget all about the stress on the road. But now we can't. So here is one of these examples. You see, this guy saw this motorbike coming, so does the bus, but they wouldn't stop. They just keep going. Yeah, finally. You see, I'm not only talking, this stuff is really happening. I'm so happy you get to see it, even though it's dangerous as hell. So, luckily I have found another place that was open for a coffee to stop. As you can see, it's completely empty behind me. But we're not here to see what's behind me. Let's see what's in front of me. This is one of the many little restaurants along the coast. Absolutely magnificent view. Beautiful. This is when you know that you are still in Bali, when you see places like this. We'll finish the coffee, get back on the bike, see what else we can experience today. Okay, so now we are about 10 kilometers away from Gilimanuk. Gilimanuk is the place from where the ferries go to Java. And I just want to give you a little bit of information about what the regulations are in Indonesia right now. If you want to leave Bali and enter another island, you need to be tested for coronavirus. So I have done my rapid test a couple of days ago. The test is now valid for 14 days. So within that period, you can come back with the same test results to Bali and you don't need to get tested again. If you are staying longer than that, you would have to obtain another test from your departure point in order to enter Bali again. This is the last stretch of about 5 or 6 kilometers before we get to the village of Gilimanuk, and there's going to be a little bit of administration and paperwork and registering and checking of the tests, and it's not the usual way that we normally buy a ticket to get on the ferry and then just go. But that's okay, I guess. Indonesia has been coping relatively well with the coronavirus so far. I know the most details about Bali itself. Bali has had 6 casualties in the last 5 months of coronavirus. In Java, it is substantially more because the big cities are in Java. I think in total the numbers are roughly around 65,000 people infected. I think around 7,000 so far has passed away. But most of the people do make a full recovery, and that is very encouraging news. Very happy to see that. We are all not quite sure what that is connected with. I mean, the population of Indonesia is the same like the United States, 300 million people, and we have a total infection rate of what the United States currently has in 24 hours. I have to say that people here have no problem to follow the instruction of wearing masks. Since this is a respiratory disease, it makes complete sense to wear a mask. I personally have a hard time understanding anybody who wants to debate that. If it is transmitted by exhaling and inhaling, and the masks filter at least some of the virus on the way out and vice versa on the way in, how come anybody doesn't want to wear a mask? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But yeah, I don't really want to get too deep into that. But you can see the effects. Countries that do this have the outbreak more or less under control. Countries that for whatever reason refuse to make masks mandatory seem to be struggling. Again, I'm not a politician, I'm not going to get involved in this. I wear my mask whenever I'm out of the house. I have a negative test, so I will not infect anyone. But it's just, it's common sense. As long as this virus is circulating, you want to be showing solidarity and still protect yourself at the same time. And protect others. No question in my mind that that's the only way to go. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if it would be made globally mandatory to wear masks, say for 3 or 4 months, the virus would disappear. Because if you are unlucky and you get severely ill and you even pass away, the virus passes away with you. It can no longer infect anyone. And if everybody wears masks, it's very difficult for the virus to infect other people. So it also goes away. It's just plain common sense. However, nobody asked my opinion. I still want to share it. So this is a beautiful stretch of jungle that we're going through right now. Traffic is very light today at this part of Bali. We shall be arriving on the ferry soon, and I'll get back to you from there with some stunning views from the boat. So, hello everyone. We have successfully safely arrived on the ferry on the west end of Bali, and now we're going to the east end of Java, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So, forgive my finger. We're on a big ferry that is transporting buses, trucks, motorbikes, personal cars, whatever wants to join. And what you see over there, that is the island of Java. So that's only a stretch of 5 kilometers of water. It's a very narrow channel. This is Java, the main island, economically main island of Indonesia. And here behind us, we are still in Bali. We are still berthed in Bali. And you see there is multiple ferries. I guess this means we are leaving now. Alright, so it's really beautiful if you see it like this. Over there is the mountains of Bali. Here is a national park which you can only enter with special permits. Is a reserve for birds and reptiles and all kinds of wildlife. So like I have said many times before, the landscape in Indonesia is absolutely stunning. It's really amazing. And maybe some interesting information about this channel between Bali and Java. This is one of the fastest flowing pieces of ocean that I think exists in this kind of size. In high tide, the water is flowing north into the Java Sea from the Indian Ocean. At low tide, it comes out again. And because it is squeezed through such a narrow channel, the speed of the water is stunning. I think it's around 15 or 16 kilometers per hour. There has been a tragic ferry accident a couple of years ago when a ferry capsized, and 2 days later they found debris and bodies floating, I think 600 kilometers away from here. That's how quick the water is. It is also one of the most rich fishing grounds because there is so much nourishment being floated in and out of this channel. It's full of tuna and whale sharks and I mean God knows what. Fish are jumping out of the water left, right and center. Okay, we are leaving now. We are on the way. So goodbye Bali. And in about half an hour we should be berthing in Java and then continue our trip. Now it's a little bit hazy today, but over there you can see a giant volcano at the very east end of Java. Over there you can see another volcano that's called Ijen. I have been on this one. It's one of the few volcanoes in the world that produces blue fire in its lava flows because the lava mixes with red phosphor and creates a blue fire. Very nice. And now I'm going to take you with me to Java. And here you can see a little bit what I mentioned before about how fast the water is flowing. You see how there is turbulent spots in the water where the water is being pushed up from the surface. That is really, really scary. If you fall in the water here, there is no way you can swim your way to shore. It will carry you straight out there. And that's a very big ocean out there. You see this? It looks like a river. But it's actually the sea. So now it is low tide, the water is flowing outwards to the south. At high tide it reverses and flows back northwards. Look how it's bubbling. Amazing. Okay, so we have left the ferry and we are now leaving the city of Banyuwangi. Banyuwangi is the easternmost province in Java, and making our way towards Surabaya. In Java the traffic is totally different than in Bali. It doesn't matter which road you're on, you're basically always in peak traffic. It can get from bad to worse, but it's always pretty bad, and the reason for that is that this island is the most densely populated island on the planet. Java is pretty big. I don't know the exact numbers now in square kilometers or square miles, but it's substantially larger than Bali. I would guess it's about the size of Italy, maybe. However, it has 140 million inhabitants, so that is a lot of people in a relatively small area in comparison. And therefore all the roads are busy all of the time. So driving here also requires your full attention all the time. Traffic now is pretty light, as opposed to how jammed it can be. It is also summer vacations here, so kids are not going to school, plus because of COVID, many schools are closed anyway, maybe even beyond the summer. So that is one reason why we don't have that many people on the road, but you can see it's still far from empty. So this is the first impression of Java. And I will try to show you more interesting things as we progress. Traffic rules on the island are the same as in Bali. The bigger guy always goes first. That's just something you need to know, and then you'll get used to it and you'll know how to handle it. Eventually it becomes second nature. I have not been riding motorbike back in Europe since I moved to Bali. I wonder if I could still handle normal traffic after this. I guess I could. I might just get in trouble and get a lot of tickets for constantly crossing over yellow lines. That's something I would definitely have to adjust to. But here you have no choice than to do that. Way going home, turning around, no indicator, nothing. You have to be ready for all of these happenings, or these things happening. They occur all the time. So if somebody comes from the oncoming traffic direction but lives on this side of the road, they'll just cut across in front of you, trying to calculate your speed and theirs and how we approach, and in most cases it goes pretty well, unless they severely underestimate the speed that you are going. So it really doesn't pay to be speeding too much. It's very dangerous. Welcome to Java, everyone. Enjoy the trip. So, I have met up with my friend Ivan. He is leading the way. He is my friend and also works for me. And he is usually my companion on these trips. It is simply safer to be not alone. He's also a very good rider. So We usually do these trips together from the beginning to the end. But I have been setting off from Bali this morning on my own, and I have met up with him in Java. He lives here. And he had a few things to take care of. Pay taxes, etc. So we're going to spend the night here in Banyuwangi province and continue our trip tomorrow to Surabaya. It's another roughly 250 kilometers from here. So we will be setting off tomorrow morning together, and then the rest of the trip is going to join me. Ivan is riding a 250cc Kawasaki Ninja, and being a local boy, he's riding it very well. At the moment he's taking it really easy, and I can tell you, no matter what bike I'm riding, if he's pushing it, I have a very hard time keeping up with him. So, like I said before, having very big motorbikes in this country is not a sensible thing. It's nice to have a bit more space, and it's nice for overtaking to have a bit more power. But if you know how to ride well, a 250cc motorbike is gonna do the job just fine. I just feel a little bit cramped on these things. I'm 6'3", 210 pounds. For me, it's not comfortable to be sitting on a bike like that for 10 hours. That's the reason why I upgraded to something a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more spacious. It's not for the power of the engine, it's simply for the size of the motorbike. You can see the traffic here, even though now we're in the countryside, is non-stop. People everywhere, all the time. Even, you will see tomorrow morning, we're going to set off probably at around 5 a.m. At sunrise. The roads are not empty, not by a long shot. They're busy, crowded, markets are already in full swing. Markets actually are starting at 2 o'clock in the morning until 6 or 7. Then they close. They reopen at around 9 or 10 until early afternoon. Then they close again, and then they reopen in the evenings or late afternoon at 5 for people to be able to go shopping for dinner. The way people live here in most cases is that you don't go and buy groceries for a week. You just go to the market and buy whatever you want to eat. You go home, cook it, and the next day you go back to the market and do the same. So it's more fresh food and hot cooking than European or American style, where you have cold cuts and cheese and butter and marmalades and honey and God knows what else in the fridge, and you just grab it whenever you're hungry. Indonesian people do eat bread, but it's not their main staple. Rice is the main staple here. Rice 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. And if you get a snack, it's normally rice as well. That's the beauty about different cultures, you know. It's learning to see how people deal with life, and food is a very big part of life. Okay, welcome back. It is now early morning in Java. We are following a policeman on a motorbike that is using his sirens and his blue lights sometimes to clear the way for us. So that's a very welcome way to cut through the traffic. Let's see where he's going. Maybe he's going to accompany us part of the way. That'll make our progress a little bit quicker. He doesn't mind that we follow him. Sort of a convoy this morning. We're now in an area called Lumajang. That's after Banyuwangi, on the way to Surabaya. And we're soon going to hit one of those roads where there is almost no buildings on one side of the road, and where we can go a little bit quicker. Maybe the policeman will go our way as well. It seems that way. Let's keep on his tail. So here is one of the few railway crossings in all of Indonesia. There is only one railway. It's been built by the Dutch, I think about 100 years ago, and only on the island of Java. Oh yeah, the policeman is clearing our way on this nice road. So, let's see. See, when there's no buildings on one side, you don't need to be scared of anybody cutting across. You can actually enjoy the ride more a little bit and relax and turn it up a bit as well. So we're gonna say goodbye to the friendly policeman here and keep going. Ladies. When there is little traffic, this road is a lot of fun, but it's only a stretch of about 10 kilometers, then it's back to normal. What a fun ride. This would be definitely illegal in Western countries. Perfectly fine in Indonesia, transporting people at 100 kilometers an hour on the loading surface of a truck. You gotta make sure people know you're coming. Okay, so we have almost reached our destination after riding a total, since we set off from Bali yesterday, about 450 kilometers. And that, to put it in perspective, was a 4.5-hour ride yesterday and another 5 hours this morning. We simply can't average higher speeds on roads like this. No matter how we want to push it, it makes no sense. So you have to calculate a maximum of 50 kilometers an hour average traveling speed if you are crisscrossing Indonesia. So it's been a fun ride nevertheless. I do this at least once a month. I stay here in Java for about 3 or 4 days, have some work to do, and then I get on the bike and do the whole trip back again. So yeah, I enjoy it. I'm not sure everybody would, but if you like to ride as much as I do, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again next time with a different trip through these beautiful islands. Have a great day. Close call, that one.